Like, it take a real motherfucker to get sober.
Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not necessarily what you do. Because I promise you, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you will be okay.
What do we know about trauma scientifically? It changes the chemistry in the brain.
We can relate to one another, you know. That's why this camaraderie is so awesome, because we just get it and we don't judge.
You can't fight new battles with old tactics. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your character becomes your destiny.
What do you want to be remembered by when you're gone? What's Grounded, fam? It's your boy Johnny Gio. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Grounded Phoenix podcast. As always, the purpose of this channel is to express vulnerability and expand awareness to addiction, trauma, and mental health. I have my homie from Homeboy Industries, Osvaldo Fernandez. What's Grounded, brother?
Hey, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. I'm excited about this interview with you. And you know what's crazy, man? That's like, I hardly know you. I just barely met you a couple weeks ago. Crazy story. Well, I was at the animal hospital because Phoenix had to get his vaccines, and you rolled up and you complimented on my dog, and you know, it's crazy. You know, you can't tell, but you have a lot of ink on you, and so do I. And usually when people come up to me or I try to come up to them, I get like a side eye, you know, or something. Like, people tend to judge, you know. It's part of the way things go now. So I was like, man, this guy, the way he speaks, you know, he's very passionate. And I saw right here, it says Homeboys Industry, and I noticed it, and I was like, hey, bro, do you work for Homeboys? And he was like, you were like, yeah, man, I do it. And we just started chopping it up. And bro, I'm excited to talk about your journey, your past life, what life used to be like, and more so how you overcame, you know, the prison life and adapting to life now. So without further ado, bro, I'm not going to do much talking. I'll allow you to just kind of introduce yourself, kind of give some backstory, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your time, and yeah, man, it was just really cool getting to meet you and chopping it up like we did, and man, I'm excited. So thank you again. You know, I grew up in a single parent, you know, home, mother raising me, going to work and going to school, you know, trying to take care of me and my younger sibling, my sister. And, you know, basically, you know, at the age of, you know, pretty much 13 is, you know, when I got into my gang. And, you know, from there it was just like, you know, little by little, a downward spiral, so to speak. I think, you know, really I was just looking for a sense of direction, a sense of, you know, familyness, you know, not having a dad there. You know, I kind of turned to the streets, you know, even though my mother did an absolute, you know, wonderful job raising us, you know, the best she could. You know, I didn't have that father figure role model, so to speak. So I turned to the streets with that, and in doing so, you know, I turned to, you know, gangs, and you know, when I got into the gang, it was from there. It was about using drugs, and then, you know, as it was a combination of both, it was more like a sense of belonging, you know, to the gang, you know, to the homies, you know, and then just expanding on that, you know, seeing my older homeboys, you know what I mean, come out of prison and stuff like that, you know. My aspiration was, you know, to do what they did, you know what I mean, to represent, you know, to go to prison, and, you know, once I get to prison, to continue to do that, you know, as well. Basically, my prison, that was me going to college, you know, in a lot of ways. You know, I think at the end of the day, for all the wrong turns that I made in my life and down the roads that I went, you know, I did have a lot of good schooling, so to speak, that came out of that. Meaning, you know, I did learn how to, you know, have respect in a sense, you know. I did learn how to carry myself in a certain way, you know. But a price came with that, you know, and a lot of misconceptions as well came along with that. And unfortunately, because of those misconceptions, you know, it led me down a path where, you know, I ended up doing the majority of my life in prison, all of my adulthood life since the age of 18. I'm going to be 49 now, and you know, I've, you know, been all the way in prison since then, pretty much. So yeah, it's been a journey, to say the least.
That's incredible, bro. What were some of the major misconceptions you think that guided you through that?
I think the biggest misconception is what it takes to be a man, you know, and how a man is supposed to be raised and held or looked at. You know, for a lot of us, you know, being a man is, or for myself, I would like to say is, you never back down from a confrontation, you know. And little do we know that, you know, it takes even a stronger man to back down from some of those confrontations, you know. Yeah, we can blame society for a lot of things that go on, but at the end of the day, you have to take accountability for yourself, you know. And one of the things that, you know, I was taught was that, you know, as long as you know, stick up for yours, you don't back down, you know, you don't take no crap from nobody, then, you know, that's a man. And in actuality, that's a big misconception, you know. It's when to learn to realize, to identify and see that, hey, maybe right now is not the right time to go about something in a certain way. That shows true strength and character down the line. That shows growth. You know, it is harder, a real man, it's hard for them to turn that cheek, so to speak, than to just easily say, okay, let's just go at it. So for me, that was a big misconception. It's something even to this day that I struggle with, you know, something that I am learning still, you know, anger management issues, you know, along with other things that I'm learning with my job. It's basically a rewiring of the way I used to think, act, feel. You know, now, you know, I'm basically rewiring myself and going about things in a whole different light.
What are the biggest obstacles you have right now when it comes to rewiring that mentality? Because I mean, don't get me wrong. I also believe that, you know, confrontation, not necessarily from somebody else, but confrontation from like maybe like a new job or like different obstacles present itself. There's certain ways of handling that. So what are the biggest obstacles right now that you face that allows you to deal with that?
I think for me, it's really about just getting to understand why I behave the way I do. Why do I think and feel the way I do? So, for example, like, you know, working with a coworker, right? You know, I have to realize and understand that each and every one of us have baggage and they're going through things on a daily basis, right? So if I'm having a bad day, you know what I mean, I have to learn not to take that out onto others, because for the most part, number one, it's wrong to do, but most of all, I don't know what that individual is going through, right? This individual can be going through a whole lot of other things, you know, and so I have to kind of be mindful of that and be understanding of that, and kind of like take a step back, you know. For me, I think when I can do that and say to myself, whoa, you know what I mean, and take that step back and look and see that it's just not about myself, not being selfish and just thinking about myself, but that there's other people involved, you and I, you know, co-workers and so forth, then it gives me a better understanding of who I am as an individual and to move forward in a positive manner, you know. For me, my hardest transitioning, which I still work with, is just like understanding that, you know, putting it bluntly, society doesn't care about the next man or woman. Society is going to keep moving, keep pushing forward with you or without you. And coming out of prison and stuff like that, or being institutionalized, such as myself, I have to understand it and come to that reality that, you know what, things and institutions are far different than the things out here in the world. And, you know, coming out here, reacclimating myself back into society, you know, that's all me. You know what I mean? That's me, you know, having to push myself through it. That's me having to say to myself, hey, you know what? Don't hold nobody accountable. Hold yourself accountable and do what you need to do for yourself. Don't put the blame on anybody else. Put that on your own shoulders and move forward. You know, that accountability right there. For me, understanding that and dealing with that on a daily basis helps me rehabilitate myself in that way.
Right on, brother. Very well said, man. Is there like a a checklist you do every day, or how do you manage to keep yourself accountable? Is there a daily routine? Is it a process, or how do you go about that to maintain that structure and accountability?
You know, I'll be lying if I say it's all on me. You know, my wife, you know, she really does help me out a lot with that. You know, and so, you know, I have to really give her a lot of credit for that. You know, if I didn't have her, you know, in my life right now, who knows where I would be at, to be honest with you. You know, so, you know, even though, you know, I can say she's sometimes a pain in my butt, you know, at the end of the day, it's a good pain. It's a pain that's needed, because we all do need somebody at the end of the day, I believe, that'll make us better, that'll grow with us, that are willing to give their time and their life to an individual. So I'm blessed in many ways. So for me, it's, you know, I get up in the morning, you know, I do that checklist. You know, I'm thankful for my wife being there with me. And then I just, you know, try to enjoy the little things. You know, I get up in the morning, for instance, I get up early in the morning, I hit the gym real quick, you know, I come home from the gym, you know, I take my shower, I make breakfast for my wife and my son, and then I get ready and drop my son off and go to work, you know, and then I do my job at work. And when I get to work, it's like, now I'm at work. You know, I try to keep work at work, you know, and just be focused on what I'm doing for the day, because while I'm at work, it's like that's a healing process. It's me working on myself, you know, as well as working with the community as well that we have there. And so for me, those little checklists right there, I do that. Then when I get off of work, you know, I pick up my son and I come home, and, you know, I get ready for my wife, and, you know, pretty much that's about it. That little routine right there keeps it constant and keeps that flow, and like it keeps me up to par. Now, I mean, don't get it wrong, right? I'm gonna have better days, some not so good days, but that's just life, right? You know, so I think having that understanding and then realizing, like, at the end of the day, I put today to rest, brother. I don't bring, you know, the bad stuff of today with me tomorrow, or the next day or the next day. I let that go. You know what I mean? To the best of my ability. Sometimes something may linger, but at the end of the day, the secret is to let it go and push forward. You know, for me. Anyway.
Right on, man. No, and I agree with you, dude. I really do agree. Earlier, you were talking about, you know, like finding a sense of belongingness in the hood, or, you know, that father figure that wasn't necessarily there, because I've experienced that myself. So now, how would you say you're fulfilling that sense of, you know, being a part of something? I think your wife may have something to do with that, but I understand you work with Homeboy Industries. Is that a way for you to be to find like a family as well, or is that fulfilling that void? And how is working there, how does that help you find a sense of purpose or belonging?
For me, you know, yes, I am involved in Homeboy Industries, and I think it's important to add that I'm a trainee at Homeboy Industries, and it's different than actually working there, meaning like being core, being an employee. I'm involved with the 18-month training program that Homeboy Industries provides to formerly incarcerated and previously involved gang members. That really want to change their lives, you know, and you know, coming out of prisons and off the streets from the gangs. So I'm involved in the 18-month program that is provided, and under this 18-month program that's offered, it allows me to not only acquire the job skills that I need to work at a job outside, but also the healing of the mind, the heart, and the soul. You know, the mental health that we talk about. You know, mental health, when we speak about it, you know, everybody, it's like a taboo. Like, you know, when you say mental health, we think, oh, you're crazy, so we don't want to speak about it. But to be honest with you, every single one of us have mental health issues. You know, it's just that, you know, some know how to deal with it in better shapes and forms than others, you know. Right. And so Homeboy Industries teaches the trainees that being involved in the training program, you know, you're going to get the opportunity to work on that, the inner healing, you know, which is the most important. So for me, yes, it is a family setting environment. You know, there's classes and things that I do there that really does help me connect to my wife, to my family at home, but also into society as well. At the end of the day, we all have to connect with society on some levels, whether you like it or not. It's just a way of functioning and moving forward and being productive in society. And Homeboys allows me that opportunity to do so. The just in atmosphere, the best way I can explain it and describe it is like you really have to come down and be in one of our morning presentations that we have every morning, and we're out there live on YouTube and stuff like that, and Instagram and stuff, and it just really it goes, you get a better sense of it, a sense of belonging, and of life that do change, and so for me that's what it's given me, up to date so far.
Right on, brother. Very well said. What advice would you give to a younger Osvaldo Fernandez, knowing what you know now? Like, if you were that positive male role model and you saw yourself rolling down the street about to do a fucking lick or something, what was some words of encouragement or advice you would give yourself?
Man, I mean, I'll be honest with you, right? Some days I don't know, you know what I mean? And other days I can be like, okay, I got something right. So, like, just based on that, I mean, I would say to myself, you know what, man, I like the way the man carries himself, he carries himself with pride and respect, he's kind, his appearance is totally opposite than what he is. I mean, you can attest to that yourself,
Right.
And so it's like, I'd be like, hey, let me see what this guy's talking about right here. Let me hear what he has to say, And on that note right there, all I would be able to tell that younger Osvaldo is just like, hey, man, look, there's always another way. There's always a better way, and you don't have to go through all the hard stuff to get to the good stuff, at the end of the day.
Damn, brother, very well said, man. But like, it doesn't always go that way. So you did kind of go through some hard stuff. Is there a silver lining? Is there anything positive that came out through you being incarcerated? Is there any good that you felt that you learned being locked up that you apply to your life now?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of good things that I've taken away from being incarcerated. One is understanding that, rules are set in place for a reason. It is good to be disciplined. It is, it is a must to have law and order at the end of the day. Otherwise, there's nothing but chaos. Discipline is good. There's nothing wrong with it. A routine, structuredness, that's all great. I mean, the military teaches some of those very same concepts and principles, right? So, I mean, that right there. Also having the understanding and the whereabouts of who you are as an individual, and respect is earned, not giving, through all racial barriers, at the end of the day. And that, no matter what, whether you're in prison or you're out here, you will have to obey rules. You will have to obey the way things are said, because in prison, let's not get it mixed up. When you're in prison, you're going to have to obey somebody. You won't have to mind somebody, so to speak, right? And it's just the same way out here in society. The difference is, do you want to be out here as a free individual, or do you want to be in there as a locked up individual? But you're going to learn and mind somebody. Now, for me, prison has been, in a lot of ways, my father. A good father, we could say, and a bad father. Just like all of our fathers, we learn good things and we learn bad things. And prison has taught me, the do's and don'ts of that. And I'm still learning. What I do know and I do understand is this: what I've learned from prison, I can take out here and apply it to good things. And that's the thing, is how you apply things is where you're gonna get it in life. So yeah, I don't want to promote prison or glorify it in any way, shape, and form, because I don't. No, don't get it mistaken, right? But I will say this: there's a lot of good men that I've done time with, that I've known, that I've had the pleasure to meet, and they've taught me a lot of good things, and it's funny because a lot of these men that are never going to get out of prison, ever in their life that they're gonna die in prison. You know, I've spoken with a few of them, and they told me, hey, when you get out, stay out. Do whatever you can to stay out. Don't come back in here. And that right there, that goes to tell you something right there. Because, you know, society has a bad misconception of that everybody is just, you know, in a negative way. And I've actually had good people tell me, you know, I want to share something with you guys. You know, after I did my 20 years in prison and I had nowhere to go and get out, a friend of mine who is doing life in prison, he had referred me to where I'm at today with Homeboy Industries to come and check it out. So, you know, I think that's very important, you know, to stipulate right there, because if it wasn't for that man telling me, hey, if anything else, go to Homeboy Industries, you know, see what happens, and here I am today. So I want to thank that man right there, and that's coming from a lifer.
Wow, brother. Very well said, man. And you know, that's crazy, dude. People do have a misconception, brother, on the way we look at people, whether they're drug addicts or alcoholics or people that are, you know, incarcerated. So I really do appreciate that insight that you have, you know, from the inside. One thing that I want to ask you, man, is I was actually, you know, I did some time, like, I don't even want to say I did some time, bro. I got locked up for like 2 days, homie. For like 2 days.
That's time.
and I was hating it, bro. And I know that I was like, I don't ever want to go back there again. One of the most things that I was just grateful for is just doing whatever I wanted to do. To have that decision. I want to go get a burger right now. I want to go get a burger. I want to go do this. I'm going to go do that. But when you're in that situation, you can't do that, whatever you want to do. So what is one thing that you're most grateful for now that you're out?
Having the freedom of choice, brother. Being able to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to sleep in today, you know. Or, hey, you know what? I'm going to go get that burger, you know. Or, hey, you know what? I'm going to go take that hour shower or half-hour shower. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or maybe, hey, just, you know what? I'm going to go out for a walk. I'll see you in an hour. You know what I mean? Just the simple things that we take for granted. Bro, just going to the store and buying some gum. Eat some gum. You know what I mean? You know, just simple things like that we righteously take for granted. Yes. So I would say just the righteously freedom of the choice to choose. And, you know, even, you know, I see, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff out here, brother. You know, times are rough, times are hard, you know, and I'm very blessed in many, many ways. But it does, you know, when I see things out here on a daily basis, it does, man, just make me have a healthier appreciation for, you know, being out here. And I really do understand when, you know, people in there say don't come back. You know what I mean? You know, you take that for granted, don't come back. You know, and society out here takes for granted of just being out here, bro. Just being able to wake up. You know what I mean? Just to get on that bus. You know what I mean? Just go somewhere. You know what I mean? Even if you ain't got nowhere to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Very well said, brother. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm one of those people sometimes. You know, because like you say, we don't have the best days sometimes. Or sometimes we do take things for granted. But I think as long as we check ourselves, and I think as long as we're able to have communication and talk to people and surround ourselves with people like yourselves and remind us what we should be grateful for, man, I really do think that it will help us along this ride. Before I let you go, bro, I gotta ask you a question that's the signature question to this podcast, and that is that I believe that there's 3 things in life that are guaranteed, and they're marked in our gravestone. That's our birthday, the day we pass, and that dash in the middle that represents the life we led. What do you want that dash to represent when you pass away, brother?
Just to let it be known that even though the lifestyle that I lived was one that I don't wish upon anybody to go through, I really do have respect for it and what I've been through and gone through. But most of all, just to let people know that, you know, I just want to just be able to help that one person.
I'll never be same.